Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going to explore someone who refers to themselves as a community trade merchant and experiential art space director.
Wow.
Quite the combo, right?
Yeah, those are some titles.
And we're going to be looking at blog posts, social media, and event descriptions
Okay.
to try and piece this all together.
All right, sounds like we've got our work cut out for us.
We do, but it's going to be a fun one. So it seems like this all starts with education. Early on, they were working as an after-school instructor, and they really seem to have a knack for making learning engaging, like really bringing it to life for the kids.
Yeah, definitely not your typical dry textbook approach.
No, no, not at all. There's even this anecdote about a near riot in one of their social studies classes.
A riot.
Yeah, the kids were so engaged they didn't want the class to end.
Wow, that's impressive. It seems like they really tapped into something special there.
They did. And, this rejection of passive learning, it kind of runs through all their work. There's a real emphasis on using your imagination, on experimenting, on finding what works for you.
Right, like knowledge is only powerful if you can apply it, make it your own.
Exactly. And a great example of that is their Eat and Learn Geography series. Have you heard of this?
I have, yeah. It's pretty unique.
It is. And it was actually born out of their frustration with, the more traditional ways of teaching.
That makes sense. They were never one to shy away from challenging the status quo.
No, definitely not. So these workshops, weren't they initially collaborations?
Yes, they were, at first at least.
Okay.
But then they organized this mystery matchmaking party, which might be a story for another time.
Okay.
But it seems to have been a turning point. It pushed them to lead their own projects.
Interesting. So this matchmaking party was their first solo venture, in a way?
Yeah, exactly. Their first foray into attracting a crowd on their own. And it was a success, apparently.
Wow. Okay. A matchmaking party that definitely piques my interest. But for now, let's get back to these workshops. What were they like? I mean, Eat and Learn Geography. What does that even mean?
Well, it was a direct response to their frustrations as an instructor. They saw how kids were really craving more social studies, like they wanted to delve deeper, and they just weren't getting that in the conventional setting.
Right, right. It's like their curiosity wasn't being fully satisfied.
Exactly. So they came up with this idea of, well, disguising the workshops as potluck dinner parties.
So you're learning and socializing at the same time.
Exactly.
Brilliant. That's a great way to make learning fun and engaging. Did they come up with any other noteworthy workshops?
They did. They actually developed a history card game workshop.
Our art game.
Yeah.
Interesting. How did that come about?
Well, they saw some students showcasing their own card game, and it kind of sparked this thought, if these kids can do it, so can I. And they did. They created a history-themed card game, like right there on the spot in minutes.
That's incredible. Talk about seizing the moment.
And the game was a hit.
Really?
Yeah, like kids were lining up to buy it during the workshops.
Wow. Okay, so that's a pretty clear sign of success.
Definitely.
So we see this passion for education, this really engaging approach, but their path takes some interesting carrots. Did they stick solely with these workshops for kids?
That's where things get really interesting. They were driven by this desire for authentic connection and meaningful dialogue.
Okay.
So they started organizing philosophical dialogue events.
Philosophical dialogue. That's quite a leap from history card games. What made them go in that direction?
It seems they felt like something was missing, even in their own workshops. Like they were searching for a way to go beyond just fun and facts, to explore, deeper questions about life and society and human connection.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What did these philosophical dialogues actually look like? Can you give me an example?
Well, one notable one was centered around gender and sexuality.
Okay.
And it provided a lot of insights, apparently, but also some challenges.
Challenges. Like what?
Well, they noted this tension between approaching the topic theoretically versus personally.
Right. So like finding that balance between the intellectual and the emotional.
Exactly. They also realized that crafting clear questions was really important.
Oh yeah, yeah, to guide the conversation.
Right, and creating an inclusive environment so that everyone felt comfortable sharing their perspectives.
I see. So it was about creating a space where diverse viewpoints could be heard and respected.
Right. They even experimented with different formats.
Oh yeah. Like what?
They held one dialogue session outdoors in Hikari-oka Park.
Outdoors. Okay.
They wanted to escape those typical indoor settings.
I see what you mean. It can feel a bit stuffy sometimes, those conference rooms and whatnot.
Exactly. Especially the corporate ones.
Yeah, breaking free from those constraints, that really shows their commitment to genuine connection.
Yeah.
But how does all this tie back to being a community trade merchant? I mean, we're seeing this passion for education, this drive for authentic dialogue, but how does trade fit into all of this?
Well, it seems their exploration of dialogue kind of led to this desire for something more, like a deeper sense of community,
No, no.
something more tangible.
So this is where the community building comes in.
Exactly. And that brings us to Naramasu Academy,
Okay.
which was, well, their foray into creating a shared living space.
A shared living space. So it wasn't just about dialogue anymore. It was about actually living and interacting within a community.
Right. And this was not your average apartment complex.
What do you mean?
Well, they describe it as a place where residents were like digging holes together, playing games.
Digging holes?
Yeah. And just like taking spontaneous trips together.
Sounds like a summer camp for adults.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, community trade merchant is still a bit of a mystery to me.
Well, hold on tight because it gets even more unconventional. They were also deeply involved in this project called the Saigetsu Island Project.
An island project. What?
Yeah.
That seems like a huge jump from shared living spaces and philosophical dialogues. What was the goal there?
It might seem disconnected at first glance,
Yeah.
but if you look at it through the lens of their core values, it starts to make sense.
Okay, so it's less about the specific activity and more about the underlying principle of community building?
Exactly.
Right.
The island project, with all its activities like land clearing and bamboo cutting and interacting with local fishermen,
Yeah.
it was another experiment in building community, just on a much larger scale.
And I'm guessing this ties into their views on money and value.
You got it. That's perhaps the most fascinating aspect of their philosophy, their evolving views on money and value creation.
So what was their approach? What did they believe about money?
Think crowdfunding, bartering,
Okay.
and alternative currency systems.
Alternative currency systems. Like what? Give me an example.
They experimented with using Black Thunder chocolate bars as a form of currency.
Black Thunder bars. Really?
Yeah, and something called a Ningumai rice tax.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What was the point of all this? What problem were they trying to solve?
It seems their unconventional approach to money stemmed from their own struggles with finances, like early on during university.
So it wasn't just about being quirky. It was about finding solutions to real world limitations.
Exactly. They had to find creative ways to survive, to create value where traditional systems weren't meeting their needs.
I see. So it's this idea of empowerment again, of finding your own way, even when the system isn't working for you. And this fascination with alternative systems and value creation, it even extends to the digital world.
The metaverse,
Yeah,
right?
that seems like a very different world from rural islands and shared living spaces.
It does, doesn't it? But they saw it as a potential platform for building and showcasing personal worlds, where individuals could express their unique talents and perspectives.
But weren't they also critical of the metaverse?
Yes, they were. They saw its potential, but they also recognized its limitations.
Like what?
They argued that like any powerful tool, it could reinforce existing power structures.
Instead of empowering individuals.
Right.
So it sounds like they were advocating for a more decentralized, a more democratic vision of the metaverse.
Exactly. They envisioned a space where individuals could truly own and control their own data, their own creations, their own experiences. Yeah.
Which is kind of the opposite of how many of these platforms currently operate.
Yes, it is.
But this idea of challenging existing systems, of empowering individuals to create their own paths, that really runs through all of their work.
Definitely.
And speaking of paths, their journey takes us back to the real world, to a specific location that becomes kind of a focal point for their community building efforts.
You mean Naramasu Academy?
That's right, but it evolves.
Oh, okay.
It's not just a shared living space anymore.
What do they call it?
They start referring to it as their delusion base.
Delusion base.
Yes.
Okay.
A place where, and I'm quoting here, dreams can be inflated and turned into reality.
Wow, that's quite the tagline.
It is. So tell me more about this transformation. What was actually happening at the delusion base?
Picture people from all walks of life
Okay.
coming together to play games, share meals, brainstorm ideas, and even just go on spontaneous adventures.
So the lines between work, play, and community life become kind of blurred.
Delightfully blurred.
It sounds fun, but maybe a little chaotic too.
Well, from what I gathered, it was a bit of both.
Okay, so delusion base was this this living experiment in community building.
Yeah.
But did it have a specific purpose?
Their vision was to create a space where people felt free to experiment, to explore their passions,
Okay.
and to connect with others who shared similar interests.
Regardless of age or background or social status.
Exactly.
So it's about creating a space where everyone feels welcome, where everyone feels like they belong.
Yes, and they were especially drawn to individuals who felt stifled by societal expectations,
Okay.
or traditional definitions of success.
So that theme of empowerment emerges again. But was this delusion base actually effective?
Based on testimonials and anecdotes, it seems so.
Really?
Yeah, former residents talk about feeling a sense of belonging, of finding their tribe.
Oh, that's great. But creating and maintaining this kind of space, especially in Turkey, must have been challenging.
That's where their unique approach to money and value comes into play once again.
Oh, the community trade merchant in action. So how did they manage the financial side of this venture?
They were incredibly resourceful. They blended crowdfunding, bartering, and you guessed it, those alternative currency systems we talked about.
Right. Those Black Thunder bars. It's amazing how they found ways to make contributing fun and accessible, even for those who, might not have a lot of traditional currency to spare. Did they come up with any other creative solutions?
They experimented with a Nengumai rice tax.
A rice tax.
Yeah, where residents could contribute a portion of their rice harvest to support the community.
Interesting. So it was a way to create a circular economy where everyone contributed and benefited in their own way.
Exactly.
It's a fascinating model, but could something like this really work in the long term?
That's a question they grappled with themselves.
Well,
While the delusion base thrived for a time, maintaining such a space, especially in a constantly changing city like Tokyo, it proved to be challenging.
so it was a temporary utopia,
Perhaps.
a fleeting experiment in alternative living.
Maybe, but even temporary utopias can leave a lasting impact,
Right.
The people who lived and interacted within that space, they carried those experiences and lessons with them.
Yeah, yeah.
And created ripples that extended far beyond the delusion base.
So it's not about whether it lasted forever. It's about the impact it had on the people who were a part of it.
Exactly.
And it makes you wonder what is the true measure of success for a project like this? I mean, is it longevity? Is it profitability? Or is it something else entirely?
Right.
And this leads us to another chapter in their journey, one that takes them to a rural village
Oh,
where they attempt to bring their unique brand of community building to life once again.
a rural village. This is the first I'm hearing about this.
It is. It's a village called Yamazoe.
Yamazoe.
Yeah, it's nestled in the mountains of Nara Prefecture.
Okay.
It's known for its lush landscapes and its connection to the history of ninjas.
Ninjas.
Yes.
Okay.
This person's life just keeps getting more and more interesting. So what drew them to such a remote location?
It seems they were drawn to the natural beauty and the tranquility of the village.
Right, a stark contrast to the hustle and bustle of Tokyo.
Exactly. Plus, they were invited to help revitalize the community, which was struggling with depopulation.
I see. So they saw an opportunity to apply their community building skills in a new context.
Yes, and their vision was to create a space where people could reconnect with nature, with themselves, with each other,
Okay.
a place to escape the pressures of modern life. To learn, to play, and to contribute to the community in meaningful ways.
It sounds almost like a retreat center, but with their signature blend of creativity and experimentation,
Right.
and I'm guessing alternative economics.
You know it.
So what did this rural experiment actually look like in practice? What were they doing there?
They set up a base in a traditional Japanese farmhouse
Okay.
and hosted weekend retreats, workshops,
Okay.
and even village study abroad programs.
Village study abroad. I love that. It's like flipping the script on traditional study abroad.
Right.
Where people usually go from rural areas to big cities. This is all about immersing yourself in a different way of life.
Exactly. And they were also involved in local projects, helping to clear land, plant bamboo forests,
Okay.
revive traditional farming techniques.
So they were really committed to becoming a part of the community, not just outsiders with their own agenda.
It seems so.
But did the villagers embrace their ideas?
It seems that there was a mix of curiosity,
Sure.
skepticism, and even some resistance.
That's understandable. I
Yeah.
mean, this is a community with deep-rooted traditions,
Right.
integrating outsiders, especially those with, unconventional ideas. It's not always easy. So how do they navigate those challenges?
Through patience
Okay.
and a willingness to learn from the locals.
So it's a good reminder that building trust takes time,
It does.
especially when you're introducing new ideas.
Right. And they started small,
Okay.
focusing on projects that benefited everyone.
Right. So like clearing paths, restoring rice paddies, organizing community events, those kinds of things.
Exactly. It's those small concrete actions that can really bring people together.
Yeah, and create a foundation for something bigger. But did their work in Yanazo, did it remain solely focused on the community? Or did something else happen?
That's where their personal life takes a beautiful and unexpected turn when that intertwines with their work.
What do you mean?
They fell in love
Oh,
and decided to get married.
that's wonderful. There's something poetic about finding love while building community in this peaceful village setting.
Isn't there?
But you said it was unexpected.
Well, it's all in their approach to marriage. Remember, this is someone who always challenges norms,
Right, right.
seeking alternative ways of living and relating. So their wedding, it kind of became an embodiment of that philosophy.
Okay, tell me more about this unconventional wedding. What did they do?
They decided to make it an open source event.
An open source wedding.
Yes.
What does that even mean?
It means they invited everyone to contribute ideas and skills
Okay.
to create a truly unique celebration.
That's fantastic. So it's like taking the principles of open source software and applying them to a social event.
Exactly. Think potluck meals, DIY decorations,
Okay.
performances by local musicians, and even workshops designed to foster connections among the guests.
Wow. It sounds like a truly memorable celebration
It does.
and one that perfectly reflects their values and their commitment to community.
Definitely. And it seems this experience really influenced their work going forward.
I'm sensing a connection here to their current project, the Pretty Cure project.
You're right on track.
Okay, I'm excited to hear more about the Pretty Cure project and how it connects to everything we've uncovered so far.
So the Pretty Cure project, it's really fascinating. It draws inspiration from this popular anime series,
Okay.
and they use it as a framework to help people discover and nurture their own unique talents.
So it's not just about watching anime.
No, not at all. It's about tapping into that sense of wonder and possibility that many of us experience as children.
Right, right. When we're less afraid to dream big and to express ourselves freely.
Exactly. And that's something that they feel like a lot of us lose as we get older.
Yeah, I agree. We kind of get stuck in our ways, get afraid to take risks.
Right. So the Pretty Cure project is really about reclaiming that childlike sense of wonder and possibility.
I like that. But how does it actually work? I mean, how do they translate this anime concept into a practical self-discovery program?
Well, think back to all the ways this individual has defied expectations.
Okay.
That spirit is at the core of the Pretty Cure project. It's designed to help you uncover those hidden talents, the ones you might not even know you possess.
Okay, so there's this element of surprise, of discovery.
Yeah.
I like that. So how is this program structured?
They've broken it down into 4 key steps.
Okay, what are the steps?
Building awareness, immersing oneself, finding inspiration, and creating and sharing.
Okay, let's unpack those a little bit. What does building awareness involve?
It starts with paying attention to the things that spark your interest,
Okay.
the activities that you naturally gravitate towards.
Right, right. Even if they seem silly or unimportant at first glance.
Exactly. It's about being curious, and seeing where those interests lead.
Okay, and then comes immersing oneself. What does that look like in practice?
Once you've identified those areas that resonate with you, it's time to dive deeper.
Okay.
Read books, watch documentaries, take classes, connect with others who share those interests.
Right. So it's about surrounding yourself with that energy and letting it fuel your curiosity.
Exactly.
What comes next?
The next step is finding inspiration.
Okay.
It's about It's about seeking out role models,
Okay.
mentors, or even just people who are doing interesting things that resonate with you,
Okay.
and learning from their experiences,
Right.
studying their approaches.
So it's not about copying others,
No,
but it's about letting their journeys inspire your own unique path.
exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So what's the final step?
The final and arguably the most important step is creating and sharing.
Okay.
This is where you take all that inspiration and turn it into something tangible,
Right.
something you can share with the world.
So this is where the rubber meets the road, right? It's one thing to be inspired, but it's another thing entirely to actually create something
Right.
and to put it out there. It
Exactly.
it must take a lot of courage to do that,
It does.
especially if you're not sure what the outcome's going to be.
Right. But they believe that true growth comes from taking risks,
Okay.
stepping outside our comfort zones, and sharing our gifts with the world,
Okay.
even if they're still a work in progress.
So this Pretty Cure project, it sounds like a great way to apply those principles.
Yeah.
But it's not just about individual empowerment, is it?
No, it's
I'm sensing a community aspect as well.
You're absolutely right. They've created online forums, workshops,
Okay.
and even retreats where people can connect, share their work, support each other's journeys,
Right.
and collaborate on projects.
So it's about fostering a sense of belonging,
Yeah.
of being part of a tribe of like-minded individuals
Right.
who are all on this journey of self-discovery and creative expression.
Exactly. It's a community where everyone is encouraged to be their authentic selves,
Okay.
to embrace their quirks and passions, and
Right.
to support each other's growth.
It sounds like a truly special space,
It does.
a real-world embodiment of their values. But before we dive deeper into Pretty Cure, let's rewind a bit. Remember those philosophical dialogue sessions we discussed?
Yes, the ones that led them to explore alternative spaces and ways of interacting.
Right. Well, it turns out those explorations eventually took them online too.
Oh, to the metaverse.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This is where things get a little meta, right?
Right.
I mean, we're already on a deep dive
Right.
about someone who's all about creating spaces for connection and self-discovery,
Yeah,
and now we're adding a layer of virtuality to the mix.
precisely. It's meta on meta.
Exactly.
But remember, they're always experimenting,
Right.
pushing boundaries, blurring the lines between the physical and the digital.
So what drew them to the metaverse?
It seems they saw it as an extension of their work,
Okay.
a new frontier for building communities and fostering individual growth.
Okay.
And they were particularly drawn to Roblox.
Roblox. I thought that was just a platform for kids to build and play games.
That's a common misconception.
Right.
While it's true that Roblox is incredibly popular among younger audiences,
Yeah.
this person they saw something more.
Okay.
They were fascinated by the platform's ability to empower individuals
Yeah.
to create their own worlds, their own unique experiences, and to share them with others.
I'm starting to see where they're going with this. It's about taking that core idea of self-discovery
Right.
and expression and translating it into a digital space.
Exactly.
But if I remember correctly, they weren't completely uncritical of the metaverse, were they?
You're right, they weren't. They saw the potential,
Okay.
but they also recognized the limitations.
What do you mean?
Well, the ways in which it could be used to reinforce existing power structures.
Right. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword.
That's a great way to put it. They argued that the metaverse, like any powerful tool,
Yeah.
can be used for good or for ill.
Right.
It all depends on who's wielding it and for what purpose.
But doesn't that kind of clash with how most tech companies operate?
It does.
I mean, how realistic is this vision of individual control in the metaverse?
It's a valid question, and they acknowledge that the current reality of the metaverse is often at odds with their ideals.
Okay.
They envision a metaverse where individuals could own and control their own data, their own creations,
Right.
their own experiences.
Which is a stark contrast to the way many of these platforms currently operate.
Yes. It is.
But this idea of challenging existing systems, of empowering individuals to create their own paths,
Yeah.
that really runs through all of their work.
Definitely. And speaking of paths, their journey takes us back to the real world, to a specific location that becomes kind of a focal point for their community building efforts.
You mean Norimasu Academy, that shared living space we talked about earlier?
That's right, but it evolves.
Okay, so it's not just a shared living space anymore.
Right.
They start referring to it as their delusion base.
Delusion base. Okay, what does that mean?
It's a place where, and I'm quoting here, dreams can be inflated and turned into reality.
Wow, that's quite the tagline.
It is, right. So tell me more about this transformation.
Okay.
What was actually happening at the delusion base?
Imagine a space where people from all walks of life
Okay.
come together to play games, share meals, brainstorm ideas, and even embark on spontaneous adventures.
Okay, so the lines between work, play, and community life become kind of blurred.
Delightfully blurred.
It sounds incredibly fun and energizing, but maybe also a bit chaotic.
Well, from what I gathered, it was a bit of both.
Okay, so it wasn't just a place to live,
No.
but a living experiment in community building.
Yeah.
But did this delusion base have a specific purpose?
Their goal was to create a space where people felt free to experiment, to explore their passions,
Okay.
and to connect with others who shared similar interests.
Regardless of age or background or
Right.
social status.
Exactly.
So that theme of empowerment emerges again. But was this delusion base actually effective in fostering that kind of growth?
From the testimonials and anecdotes I found, it seems so.
Really?
Yeah. Former residents talk about feeling a sense of belonging, of finding their tribe,
That's fantastic.
and of being encouraged to pursue their passions,
Okay.
whether those passions involved, art,
Okay.
entrepreneurship, or even playing video games for hours on end.
That's great. But creating and maintaining this kind of space, especially in a place like Tokyo, I mean, it must have been quite a challenge. How did they manage it?
That's where their unique approach to money and value comes into play once again.
Ah, yes, the community trade merchant strikes again.
Exactly.
So tell me more about the financial side of this venture.
Well, they were incredibly resourceful,
Okay.
utilizing a blend of crowdfunding, bartering, and those alternative currency systems we discussed earlier.
Right, the Black Thunder bars
Yeah.
and the rice tax.
Exactly.
It's amazing how they found ways to make contributing fun and accessible.
Yeah.
But how sustainable was this model? I mean, could something like this really work long term?
That's a question they grappled with themselves.
Okay.
While the delusion base thrived for a while,
Okay.
ultimately the challenges of maintaining such a space, especially in a rapidly changing city like Tokyo,
Right.
they proved to be too great.
So it was a temporary utopia,
Perhaps.
a fleeting experiment in alternative living.
Maybe, but even temporary utopias can leave a lasting impact,
Right, right.
The people who lived and interacted within that space, they carried those experiences and lessons with them,
Yeah.
and created ripples that extended far beyond the physical boundaries of the delusion base.
Right. So it's not about whether it lasted forever.
Right.
It's about the impact it had on the people who were a part of it.
Exactly.
And it makes you wonder what is the true measure of success for a project like this? Is it longevity? Is it profitability? Or is it something else entirely?
Right, exact, yeah.
And this leads us to another chapter in their journey.
Okay.
One that takes them to a peaceful village
Okay.
nestled in the mountains of Nara called Yamazoe.
Yamazar, okay.
It sounds like their experiences there, especially their unconventional wedding,
Right.
had a profound impact on their work.
Absolutely. Their time in Yamazo and particularly their marriage.
Yeah.
It seems to have solidified their belief in the power of individual expression
Okay.
and the need to create spaces where those unique gifts
Yeah.
can be discovered and shared.
So it's about creating an environment where
Yeah.
people feel safe to to be themselves,
Right.
to explore their passions,
Yeah.
and to contribute their unique talents without fear of judgment.
Precisely. And this leads us to the final chapter of their story, at least for now.
Okay?
Their journey is still unfolding, full of surprises and unexpected turns.
Yeah.
But this project, it seems to be a culmination of everything they've learned and experienced along the way.
Okay, I'm ready for the grand finale. Let's dive into the Pretty Cure project and see what wisdom we can glean from their current work. But first, there's one more aspect of their journey. We need to explore
Okay.
a thread that runs through all of their work
Uh-huh.
and adds a layer of depth and complexity.
You mean their personal journey of transformation?
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
We've talked about their unconventional approach to education, community building,
Yeah.
even marriage.
Right.
But there's a personal story here too, one that's intertwined with their work in profound ways.
Yeah, definitely. And while they've always been open about their experiences and ideas,
Right.
they've become increasingly candid about their own personal struggles
Uh-huh.
and how those challenges have shaped their work.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this personal side of their story. What challenges have they faced?
Well, they've talked openly about their struggles with anger,
Okay.
self-doubt, feeling like an outsider,
Yeah.
trying to fit into a world that didn't seem to value their their unique way of being.
Right.
They've shared their experiences with mental health, their journey of self-discovery,
Yeah.
and the ways in which their work has been a form of healing and empowerment, not just for others, but for themselves as well.
It's brave of them to be so vulnerable, to share such personal struggles publicly.
Yeah,
It makes you realize that even those who seem to have it all figured out, those who are out there changing the world,
right.
they're still human.
Yeah,
They're still grappling with their own inner demons.
exactly.
And it's this humanness, this vulnerability that makes their work so relatable and
Yeah,
so inspiring.
right.
It reminds us that we're all on a journey. We all
Yeah.
have our own challenges to overcome,
Yeah,
and that it's okay to not have all the answers.
right.
It sounds like their work has been a way for them to process those challenges,
Yeah,
to find meaning and purpose in their struggles,
right.
and to create something positive
Yeah.
out of their pain.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most powerful work comes from a place of deep personal experience.
Exactly. And their willingness to be open
Yeah.
and vulnerable
Yeah.
about their own journey,
Right.
it adds another layer of depth
Right.
and authenticity to their work.
Yeah.
It allows them to connect with others on a deeper level,
Yeah.
and to create a space where others feel safe
Right.
to share their own stories and struggles.
Exactly.
It's a powerful message, isn't it?
It is.
That we all have something unique to offer,
Right.
even in our imperfections,
Right.
and that by embracing our vulnerabilities,
Yeah.
we can create something truly meaningful.
Absolutely. And this brings us to the Pretty Cure project,
Okay.
which embodies this message in a powerful way.
Okay, I'm ready to hear more about Pretty Cure and how it all ties together. I'm especially curious to know how their personal journey of transformation is reflected in this project.
All right, let's dive in. So the Pretty Cure project, it really embodies this message of transformation and embracing your true self.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned that connection. So how does it all tie together? How does Pretty Cure reflect their personal journey?
Well, it's almost like a culmination of all those threads we've been talking about,
Okay, like what?
Self-discovery, embracing your uniqueness and the courage to share your authentic self with the world.
Even the messy parts.
Exactly, even the messy parts, and that's something they've really embraced in their own life, and it shines through in this project.
Okay, I'm ready to hear more about how this all comes together in Pretty Cure. Just to recap, what exactly is this project about?
All right, so remember that anime series, Pretty Cure?
Yeah, the one they were inspired by.
Right, exactly. So it features these young girls who discover their inner strength
Okay.
and use it to fight for what they believe in.
Okay.
And this project kind of takes those themes
Okay.
and adapts them into a framework for self-discovery and empowerment, but for everyone, not just girls.
Right, right. So it's about tapping into that inner power, that
Exactly.
that unique spark that makes each of us special.
Yeah, and it goes beyond just recognizing your talents, you know. It's about taking action. It's about using those talents to make a positive impact on the world.
So they call it becoming the hero of your own story.
Exactly. That's their tagline. Become the hero of your own story.
I love that. But how do you actually go about doing that?
Right.
I mean, becoming the hero of your own story, it sounds a bit abstract.
It does.
Like how do you translate that into the real life?
Well, they've developed a structured approach
Okay.
that builds on the 4 steps we discussed earlier, remember?
Right, right. Building awareness, immersing oneself, finding inspiration, and creating and sharing.
Exactly.
Right. Those steps make sense for self-discovery.
Yeah.
But how do they translate into actually becoming a hero? Like I'm still not quite sure I understand that part.
Okay, well, for them, being a hero, it's not about, wearing a cape
Right.
or having superpowers.
Yep.
It's about recognizing your strengths, honing your skills, and then using them to make a difference in the world.
Okay.
However big or small that difference might be.
So it's about using your unique abilities to contribute something positive,
Yeah.
to help others, to make the world a better place.
Exactly.
And that contribution can take many forms, right? It might be starting a business,
Yeah.
creating art,
Yeah.
volunteering in your community, or even just being a supportive friend or family member.
Right.
It's about finding your own way to shine your light,
Yeah.
and to share your gifts with the world.
Exactly. It's about finding what makes you you and using that to make the world a little bit brighter.
That's really inspiring. But how does the Pretty Cure framework actually help people do that?
Well, like we said, it all starts with building awareness of your own interests and talents.
Right. So recognizing those things that you naturally gravitate towards.
Exactly. And then it's about immersing yourself in those areas, learning as much as you can.
Right. So taking that initial spark of interest
Right.
and fanning it into a flame.
Exactly. And finding other people who share those passions.
Okay. So community plays a role here as well.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. And what about inspiration? What role does inspiration play in all of this?
Finding inspiration is crucial. They encourage people to look for role models,
Right.
mentors, or even fictional characters who embody the qualities they admire.
So it's about finding those shining examples
Yeah.
that show you what's possible, that give you a glimpse of what you can achieve.
Exactly. And then comes the most important part, the part that really sets this project apart,
Okay, what's that?
creating and sharing.
Right. This is where the rubber meets the road.
Exactly.
Taking all that inspiration
Right.
and turning it into something tangible, something you can share with the world.
Right.
But that could be scary, can't it?
You can't.
Putting yourself out there, sharing your creations,
Yeah.
even if you're not sure how they'll be received.
Absolutely. And they acknowledge that vulnerability and fear
Yeah.
are part of the process.
Right.
But they also believe that pushing past those fears is essential for growth.
So it's about embracing that vulnerability,
Yeah.
taking that leap of faith,
Right.
and trusting that your work, your gifts, your story will resonate with someone.
Exactly. And they don't just leave people hanging. They've built a supportive community around this project.
Okay.
With online forums,
Okay.
workshops,
Right.
and even retreats where people can connect,
Okay.
share their work, get feedback,
Right.
and encourage each other along the way.
It sounds like they've created a space where people feel safe to experiment,
Yeah.
to fail, to grow, and
Right.
to celebrate each other's successes.
Right. It's a space where everyone feels empowered to be their authentic selves.
Yeah.
And to contribute their unique talents to the world.
It's been an incredible deep dive, hasn't it?
It has.
From near riots in the classroom to philosophical dialogues in the park, from shared living spaces to island development projects, from unconventional weddings to anime-inspired self-discovery programs.
Quite the journey.
Their life is a testament to the power of embracing curiosity,
Yeah.
challenging norms,
Right.
and creating your own definition of success.
It really is, and it leaves us with so much to think about. How can How can we tap into our own unique talents and find ways to share them with the world?
Right. How can we build communities that support each other's growth
Yeah,
and celebrate our differences?
exactly. Big questions.
They are big questions, but maybe, just maybe, exploring this individual's work has given us some clues, some inspiration to start finding our own answers.
Absolutely. And remember, you can find links to all the source material in the show notes.
Right.
If you'd like to learn more about this fascinating individual and their work.
We encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning, keep creating,
Yeah.
and keep sharing your unique gifts with the world.
Until next time, keep diving deep.